Some massive individual performances in the West at the weekend, and to talk us through it is our man over there, Greg Hire. Welcome, Greg. Take us through these massive stat lines in the men's conference.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Friday night it started. I was eagerly had the split screen on with the KO game of the week, Willetton Tigers versus the Joondalup Wolves, and eagerly sort of looking around the was going across NBL1 West, and Devondrick Walker was turning it up. He had 20 points in the first quarter, or 19, and your biggest fear in that moment is it doesn't turn out as a blowout. That's what's been happening consistently throughout the whole season, is that Rockingham are beating teams within the first quarter and the guys get to rest. In the end, Devondrick Walker, also known as Tuss, drops a 50 piece. There was a little bit of controversy because as I was scrolling through it, it sort of said he had 47 points, and then their social media said he had 51, and I was eagerly refreshing all throughout the night, and he ended up getting the first 50 ball for the night. And I tweeted, I said, Devondrick Walker, give him Player of the Week, Footlocker Player of the Week. There you go, get yourself a pair of new shoes. But along the same line, or same time, Quinton Dove from the Joondalup Wolves explodes. He has 43 points, 13 rebounds in a massive comeback win against the Willetton Tigers. Like, they had no right to win that game, and it was literally Quinton Dove's play. And we're going to talk about MVP candidates, and you can't go by those two. Like, it was just we talk about storylines, and I'm a massive Hollywood sort of fan, and you're getting that right now with those two high caliber players. And speaking to Devondrick throughout this week, he's using the games, the first part of the game, as a training session to sort of an audition to NBL teams that I can play at that next level. And if it comes down to crunch time, he plays his normal style. But we saw 50 points from him, 43 from Quinton Dove. And then on Saturday night, Brenton Hobbs explodes in the first half of Courtney Alexander. Both of them have 25 and 27. So it is getting hot over here in the NBL1 West, and I'm loving the stat lines that I saw across the weekend.
Some massive performances, Devondrick Walker in sensational form as usual. We'll get to that MVP chat shortly, but can you take us through the rest of some of the men's highlights from the weekend?
Yeah, I think two teams really staked their claim. We spoke about that. The Joondalup Wolves, they had a massive weekend. They really need to. They haven't been playing well, to their standards, I guess, from a recruiting standpoint. But they go against Willetton on Friday night. Again, Mark Worthington really inspired that group, and I thought they were going to run away with the win. Foul trouble for Gorjak Gak really hurt them late in the game, and maybe a bit of a unique substitution. Damien Scott, who's on an absolute tear, came out with 6 minutes left, and then Joondalup came home flying. So that was a massive win for them to get on the Friday night. And then they backed it up against Coburn Cougars on Saturday. Coming back, they weren't looking like they had momentum. Some huge plays. CJ Turnage, he's sensational. He was all NBL1 last year. He was really consistent. Quinton Dove had a quieter game, but massive for them. And then the same two teams, Perry Lakes and Eastern Suns. I want to speak on Eastern Suns. They had a record of 4-18 last year. They're sitting at 5-3, and they had two big wins. More so Sunday night, backing it up. I was watching the game on Saturday night. Joe Cook-Green, he's been playing some sensational basketball. He made some big plays come on the back end of that Saturday night game. But Sunday, they beat Warwick Senators, who have been plodding along, but that's a championship contender, top four. And so that would do the world of good for Aaron Shahir and his group. Seb Salinas, who is about to eclipse 500 games, he just keeps plodding along. But Alman Fermenza and Joe Cook-Green, they're really inspiring that group, and so really pleasing to see maybe not your typical clubs winning games. For them to go 2-0 and 5-3 this year, early in the part of the year, really positive steps for that club.
Let's move over to the women's side of things now, because there was a top of the table clash. It was highly anticipated, and the team that has been undefeated remains unbeaten in 2023.
Yeah, you're right. Most of the eyes you would have thought would have been on the coronation, but everyone over here was watching Coburn Cougars versus the Joondalup Wolves on the battle of the undefeated. And unfortunately, we had an incredible woman, Nashaya Parker-Williams, suffer an injury on Friday night, so she missed the game, and she was in sensational form. But yeah, a little bit of a controversial ending, I guess, or an ending that you don't want. Robbie Ryan, who we all know is an absolute incredible player, received a personal foul with about 5 minutes 20 with Kerben with the lead. She was upset and received a technical foul, and unfortunately she fouled out. So, sort of, I would have loved to, I was hoping that back in that game you would have seen two of those, incredible outfits, full strength, go at it. But Kerman behind Steph Gorman and Sarah Mortensen, they were dominant and they have been throughout the season. And we sort of spoke about it before. They still got pieces to add. So that's their biggest test thus far. And they responded really well on their home court. Now they sit at 5-0. Joondalup had a really still solid weekend. Like they beat Willetton Tigers on the Friday night in a dominating fashion. As much as the scoreboard doesn't reflect that, they had the game the whole time and really, I guess, set it out there. So, yeah, really, if you're looking at predictions, from what I'm looking at right now, those two are staking their claims as grand finals for the season.
I want to talk to you about Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycard because she is a real emerging player in the WNBL. She put up a double-double at the weekend, and I saw a great highlight on the NBL1 Instagram of her just putting up a massive three. She's in some great touch.
I'm not sure if the highlight was more of her hitting a three or the commentator absolutely bursting eardrums throughout the broadcast. That excitement levels was thoroughly entertaining. But you're exactly right, Meg. That's another player I know the Perth Lynx want to retain, but I'm sure is not only gaining interest across Australia, but overseas in Europe, and hopefully she remains here. But you're right. They started slow. They're the champions. Not only just NBL1, they were the national champions. Stacey Barr hasn't been playing on a consistent basis. They've just brought in a new import, Carly Murphy, who I think will certainly help Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycard. She's averaging 19 and 10 in their first two games. But they're plodding along now. They started the year pretty slow for what they would have liked, but now they've won 4 games alongside, the other team, Rockingham Flames, who are championship contenders, and they've just brought in Mary Cracker, who just had an MVP sort of game. So those two players, Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycard and Taya Borrows, this off-season, I guess, in the WNBL is huge for them. And I think Clinch-Hoycard averaging 16 and 13 throughout the season. She's a sneaky MVP candidate. I think there's too much talent in her team, and I don't think they'll lose a few games along the way to get there. But I think for her, she's similar to like a Devondrick Walker. In order for her, maybe even to prove that Ryan Petrick, hey, if there's a player that you don't retain, and I obviously don't have the inside word like a Chloe Bibby or an Amy Atwell, she has the ability to step in and take those minutes. And I think she's doing all those right things at the moment.
Let's begin the MVP conversation because we've been teasing it over the last few weeks. Greg Hire, I want your top contenders for both MVP in the women's and men's for NBL1 West right now.
Yeah, for the women's, we've been mentioning their names every week. Tage Morrell and Robbie Ryan from the Joondalup Wolves. I think, Tage averaging 21 points and 11 rebounds from 55% from the field. She'll be up there. They'll get wins. I think they'll drop less than a handful of games, 3 and 4. Whether her and Robbie Ryan still enough votes off each other. People forget Robbie Ryan was leading the race until she got injured at the back end of the season with that calf strain. And then you've got Sarah Mortensen at the Cougars, which will similar be, they're going to steal votes with how stacked they are, Jewel Williams, Jessie Edwards, and then bringing in Paddy Brosman. But my MVP and standout is going to be Alex Sharp. 23 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. She's third in the league in scoring, which she will be first soon because Paris Duffield's second after one game and Sammy Whitcomb is first. So once, at the end of the season, she'll go there and she's first in rebounds. So look, I think she's just by far ahead of it. I don't think she'll miss too many games because unlikely she's in a sort of an Asia Cup, squad. She's on a 3x3 fold, which is a lot of these players sort of miss those games. So if you're going a per game basis, I think Alex Sharp, and they'll be thereabouts. They'll continuously get better, and you're sort of seeing there. she's incredible. Her ability, I think she can shoot better. She knows she can shoot better, but that'll be my standout candidate. Going to the men's side, it starts with those two, Quinton Dove and Devondrick Walker, with Gorjak Gak sort of leading behind them by a few votes. What might hurt Devondrick is those blowout wins and just the absolute stack of talent that Rockingham Flames have. Like Jeremy Combs will still vote, Marshall Nelson will still vote, and then Ryan Godfrey will pop up, same as Tom Jervis, and then you've got a Justin Beard or a Travis Dernan. Like that. That's just an abundance of talents for a lineup right there. Quinton Dove's only really going to go against CJ Turnage, and he's averaging, like great numbers, 23 and 11 to start out with, and he's got these huge games, and that's the thing. Like even when CJ Turnage has 28 points, Quinton Dove's got 43, so he's going to go there. The other thing, and most people don't really, this is why I reckon I wasn't really high on the MVP candidates when I had great years. He doesn't argue with the refs. I think that actually helps players out, like same as Devondrick Walker. They remain level-headed, and I remember having a chat with one year when I had arguably my best year ever, and I was mid-tier, and I said, am I hurting myself? And they said, you absolutely are. Guys that don't argue with referees are going to be seen in a more positive light. And so for anyone watching, hey, if you want to be an MVP candidate, just reel it in a little bit. So, yeah, look, I think Devondrick and Quinton Dove. Gorjak Gak will be there as well. A sneaky MVP, Joe Cook-Green for Kalamunda. Ullman for Monza is the only guy that might take votes. But if he continues his play, I spoke about players that can transition to the next level, that have the right skills. Joe Cook-Green's that guy. And the way he continues to play, he could definitely be a worthy MVP candidate.
And finally, Greg, a massive milestone this week for one of your former teammates.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Meg. Ryan Godfrey, or also more commonly known as Buff, an exceptional player for the NBL1, a club stalwart, and actually a league legend, realistically. We spoke on the previous show, Casey Milovich, what she's done for the league. Ryan Godfrey went across to the United States, played for West Georgia, and has come back for the Flames, and unfortunately didn't enjoy too much success until recent years. And for a guy that's played at a very high level to come back and continue playing at an exceptional level of play, I think shows a lot for young juniors coming through. Like it doesn't always have to be, play for the Perth Wildcats for 10 years or whatever it may be. Like you can still have an incredible career at whatever level you choose to play at. But he's, for a guy that doesn't say much on court, he's an exceptional leader, still playing at a very high level and really bleeds, I guess, that Rockingham Red, as they like to say. So an incredible achievement, 300, and hopefully another championship for that side at the back end of this year.
A great story, a great person, a great basketballer. Congratulations, Ryan. Greg, thanks so much for the chat. Enjoy the weekend coming up, and we'll see you again next week.
My absolute pleasure. Looking forward to it.